ओके, हमारा वॉरियर प्रिंस कहाँ है?
नाम तो सुना ही होगा। तो हमने ये कहानी बनाई है राहुल और अंजलि की। तो जब हम सनसेट होने वाला था, हम फॉरेस्ट में गिर गए। मैं फॉरेस्ट में गिर गया, सॉरी। तो जब मैं गिरा तो रोल होते 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 मैं बहुत डीप अंदर जंगल में चला गया, जिसके कारण से जो मेरा रोलिंग माउस था वो मेरे से अलग हो गया। बट अच्छी बात ये थी कि जो स्वॉर्ड थी वो अभी भी मेरे पास थी। तो मैंने सोचा कि मैं वो रोलिंग माउस को ढूंढने निकलता हूँ। तो मैं जंगल में ढूंढने निकला। तो ढूंढते ढूंढते मेरे को 2 रास्ते मिले। मैंने एक चूज़ किया रास्ता, क्योंकि मुझे ऐसा लगा कि अच्छी डायरेक्शन में जा रहा है। वहाँ पे फ्रूट्स थे, वेजिटेबल्स वगैरह सब चीज़ थी वहाँ फॉरेस्ट में। तो मैं उधर गया। जैसे जैसे जंगल में जाता गया तो ढूंढने लगा मैं रोलिंग माउस को। तो पता चला कि ये एक मॉन्स्टर लैंड है। तो हम मॉन्स्टर लैंड में मैं मॉन्स्टर लैंड में पहुंच गया हूँ। वहाँ पे जो मॉन्स्टर लैंड का राजा है और एक उसकी बहन है अंजलि। तो जो ये दोनों डिस्कस कर रहे थे कि भाई एक कोई ह्यूमन आया है हमारे जंगल में, हमको इसकी बलि चढ़ानी है और हम इसका खून पिएंगे। राइट। तो फिर उन्होंने वो डिस्कस करते कि भाई इस ह्यूमन को हमको ल्योर करके जंगल में से हमारे जहाँ पे वो बलि चढ़ाते हैं वहाँ तक लाना है। तो वो अपनी बहन को बोलता है कि तुम इसको ल्योर करो। तो वो अंजलि जो है वो आती है और मुझे ल्योर करने आती है। तो जब मैं उससे मिलता हूँ तो दोनों को एक दूसरे से प्यार हो जाता है। It was love at first sight kind। तो फ्लैम्बॉयंट है तो उसको मेरे से प्यार हो गया, मेरे को उसकी ब्यूटी पे प्यार हो गया, ऐसा हो जाता है। तो होते हैं गाने वगैरह होते हैं, तो बैकग्राउंड में म्यूजिक चल रहा होता है, वायलिन बज रहे होते हैं, सब होता है। तो फिर क्योंकि जो मॉन्स्टर लैंड का राजा रहता है वो बोलता है कि भाई इसकी बलि चढ़ानी है। तो वो एक बहुत असमंजस में रहती है कि मेरे को इससे प्यार भी है, मैं इसकी बलि कैसे चढ़ाने दूंगी। तो वो फिर उसको कन्फ्यूजन होता है। वो वहाँ जहाँ लेके तो जाती गेट तक, फिर वो मना कर देती कि नहीं तुम मत जाओ अंदर, भाई दिस इज अ मॉन्स्टर लैंड और वो तुम्हारी बलि चढ़ा देंगे, तुम जाओ यहाँ से। तो अब दोनों को एक दूसरे से प्यार होता है तो वो बोलता है कि नहीं मैं तुमको छोड़ के नहीं जाऊँगा, सब होता है। तो उसके बाद वो फिर भी अंदर चला जाता है देखने के लिए कि क्या है, और उसको बहुत ईवल दिखता है क्योंकि उसके पास ईवल स्वॉर्ड होती है। तो वो जो उधर का राजा है मॉन्स्टर लैंड का, उसको मार के ईवल खत्म करता है। तो अब क्योंकि उसने उस राज्य में से राजा को मारा तो अब राज्य उसका हो जाता है। तो ही बिकम्स द राजा ऑफ द लैंड और अंजलि से वो शादी कर लेता है। तो यहाँ पे राहुल और अंजलि की शादी हो जाती है। हाँ, तो डायलॉग आते डायलॉग भूल जाते हैं लोग। तो अब शादी होने के बाद अगली स्टोरी मैडम बताएं।
अब जो राहुल है वो राजा होता है उस फॉरेस्ट का और अंजलि उसकी रानी होती है। स्टार्टिंग में सब कुछ अच्छा चल रहा होता है, फॉरेस्ट फ्लरिश कर रहा होता है, फ्रूट्स रहते हैं, वेजिटेबल्स होती है। बट उसी के साथ राहुल को ईगो आने लग जाता है कि जो सब हो रहा है सब मेरी वजह से हो रहा है। वो रियलाइज नहीं कर रहा कि सब लोग हेल्प कर रहे हैं टू मेक द फॉरेस्ट वर्किंग। एक साल हो जाता है एंड नेक्स्ट ईयर सूखा पड़ जाता है उस फॉरेस्ट में, सब खत्म होने लग जाता है। देयर इज नो वाटर, तो वो लोग राहुल सोचता है कि ईस्ट साइड में रिवर फ्लो हो रही है जहाँ की उसका ब्रदर है। वो ये सोचता है कि अब मुझे वो कॉन्कर करना है, मुझे अपने ब्रदर को मार के मैं अगर वो वाटर यहाँ ला सकता हूँ तो मेरे पास 2 राज्य होंगे और मैं ज़्यादा बड़ा किंग बन जाऊँगा। तो वो अपनी सारी सेना को लेके अपनी अंजलि को लेके वो कॉन्कर करने चले जाता है। बट एट दैट सेम पॉइंट थ्रू द सोर्सेज द रोरिंग माउस फाउंड आउट कि ये गलत करने जा रहा है, क्योंकि राहुल सिर्फ वो रोरिंग माउस से डरता था बचपन में भी। वो जब तक वो रिवर के बैंक्स पे पहुंचता है वो रोरिंग माउस वापस रोर करता है और उसी टाइम राहुल अपने थॉट्स में पहुंच जाता है और वो रियलाइज करता है कि वो जो करने जा रहा था वो गलत है। वो कॉन्कर करने की जगह कोलैबोरेट भी कर सकता है, दोनों साथ में ग्रो कर सकते हैं। इसके आगे
सो जब मुझे ये रियलाइज़ होता है, जब रोरिंग माउस मेरे सामने आके रोल करता है, मुझे सडनली रियलाइज़ होता है कि इतने दिन जो मैं सोच रहा था कि ये सब मैं कर रहा हूँ, मेरी पावर है और मुझसे बड़ा कोई है ही नहीं यहाँ पे, और जो मेरे पास मैजिकल तलवार है उसी के भरोसे, आई मीन दैट इज़ माई ओनली पावर एंड दैट इज़ द पावर दैट ओनली आई हैव। तो उसके भरोसे मैं ये सब सोच रहा था, मुझे लग रहा था कि मैं ही सब कुछ हूँ। बट जैसे ही रोरिंग माउस सामने आया, जब उसने डिसाइड किया रोरिंग माउस ने कि आप यू नो मेरे सामने आए, मुझे ही क्या बोलते हैं basically has to shake me up and bring me out of this ego circle that I got captured. So that time I realized कि जैसे कि रोलिंग माउस बोलता है कि मुझे हर वक्त कॉन्कर करना जरूरी नहीं है। If I can collaborate, I don't have to conquer and win. I can collaborate and also win. मुझे ये भी रियलाइज होता है कि जो मेरे अंदर अहंकार बड़ा बन गया था मेरा, उसकी वजह से अब क्योंकि जैसे सेकेंड ईयर सूखा पड़ने लग गया, सब चीज़ें खत्म होने लगी, तो इट वॉज अहंकार हमारी हेल्थ के लिए और हमारे प्रजा के लिए भी अच्छा नहीं है। सो दिस इज व्हाट आई लर्न फ्रॉम माय जर्नी इन द फॉरेस्ट। ऑल्सो आई लर्न दैट मेरे पास 2 गिफ्ट्स थे, एक मैजिकल स्वॉर्ड और एक रोलिंग माउस, और दोनों ही मेरे लिए ज़रूरी है, मैं एक के बिना नहीं रह सकता। Plus, it is very important for ego and to strike a balance is very important and not go on side of life.
You have gotten the imagery decoding of the mouse very correctly. Mouse represents your consciousness. So your consciousness has helped you to not get into wrong things. And see, but what happens is once you enter the forest, you have to explore the forest. क्या चीज मिलती है, क्या नहीं है, क्या नहीं है. But you don't meet, explore the forest at all. You straight go to hunt for the mouse. So you get caught with the task of doing things rather than exploring the environment of what is there. So as long as you have a task, you are okay. Then you find the girl falls in love, or both of you fall in love. And then of course the girl's dilemma of आदमी को sacrifice करो कि, but you're still using the sword to kill. You kill her brother. And yet she doesn't say anything. Monster तो है, but उसका भाई तो है. When you get married, and then so you go through this dilemma of who is a bigger person. The girl thinks everything is happening to her, then you think everything is happening because you have the sword, and finally the mouse kind of, your consciousness kind of shakes you up to say you may not necessarily kill, but there are other alternative ways of doing things. But conclusion we don't know. क्या? You come to a realization, but you don't know the. Now, second prince is always like the first prince is a dependent prince, second prince is a counter-dependent prince, and that story may comes out very clearly. The second prince is a counter. इसने ऐसा किया तो फिर मैं ऐसा करूँ. So that's a counter-dependency. And second prince का problem ये होता है कि he is the second born. So his princehood, his kingdom is not his. So most of the stories, the second prince becomes a king by some way or the other, because the first or the second, first or the third or the fourth may not be competent. It is the second prince who becomes the king. Because of whatever the second prince is a warrior prince, his need is always to the need is to assert and be in power. But अपन तो conclusion नहीं मालूम है आपकी स्टोरी का क्या हुआ.
लेकिन it's a happy ending, उसको realization हुआ तो उसने
the story is up to the realization, which is a very positive ending. In your mouse, which is your conscience keeper, has alerted you to the negatives that you wrong choices which you were going to make. But compared to the first prince, you had a थोड़ा बहुत romance हुआ first.
बोलने के कारण
Monster is same, but romance
This was a Bollywood.
And if you go by the imagery, being married or Rakshasi,
Yes.
so that you continue, you pick it up and you continue. Yes. चलो second prince का decoding देखते हैं.
Should somebody
No, somebody can read it, then it's fine. If you can read it, go ahead and read it.
no, somebody else, I think. One of you.
The second prince is counter-dependent son and a role. Prince 2 is reactive. He is a model to engage with anyone and or the world. He is a warrior prince. Prince 2 likes action. Should I not?
वो princess ने मना ही किया तब भी अंदर जाके झगड़ा किया.
Should I not is the dilemma of Prince 2. Prince 2 is a displaced prince, but for Prince 1, he would be the king. Prince 2 is highly competitive, he likes to excel, achieve, and succeed at all times.
If you see the story of the second prince, he is wanting to achieve, and the only thing which does not happen is the exploration of the forest. And the forest is full of emotions and full of lot of diversity, which he doesn't look at. And he doesn't encounter somebody encounters him. See, he does not meet people, but the people meet him. The monster meets him or comes to meet him. Now, how do you take an initiative? If you are counter-dependent, it's always the other person's initiative to interact with him and not his initiative to interact. Or and he's always at an issue. God bless you, Priya. See, the second prince does not interact first. It is the princess as a brother who decides to capture him. So this is the way of counter-dependency. You don't do things, and if you are there, you say, but मैं तो नहीं गया था, मुझे पकड़ के ले गए. So that is what happens. So So in an environment, new environment, unless you take the initiative, unless you explore what is the terrain and what it's all about, then you are taking initiative. Otherwise you are counter dependent. And counter dependency has to be given up for some creative work to be done. You cannot be counter dependent. And the story is not complete. We still don't know what happened because he got the real awareness, but the action क्या हुआ वो अपन को पता नहीं है. So where is the healer prince?
On behalf of all my team members, I'm here. So there are 5 swords and 5 soldiers behind me. I know I can't look back. And I kick my horse and say, let's go. It's a glacier. Everything is white. Till now I like white. But when I'm trading this path, I realize that, oh my God, I left a very cozy environment where everyone knew me, who I am. And I had the bag, that magic box of lotion, potion and solution. So it was ready-made, which was given to me. But here, it's a strange path. Even though I have my tear bag with me, I have both the tools, both the gifts given by sage. अंदर से आवाज आती है, आप अकेले हो. I just give a hug to my horse and sing a song. रुक जाना नहीं तू कहीं हार के, कांटों पे चल के मिलेगी राहें बाहर के. ठंडी से बुरा हाल हो रहा है. And I don't know what is there. The way is becoming difficult. And what is paining me is there's a lot of moaning, wailing and crying voices which are coming, and it's disturbing me. I want to reach that place. I want to see who is in pain. And my mind is continuously busy thinking that how can I help, who is there? Because till now I had very, very known territory, and here I am getting into unknown territory. I don't know who's there, whether I'll be alive or I'll be dead. But what is there is my courage. I love white. I loved white. I was quite quiet. But now my soul is making lots of noise. My soul tells me that there are a lot of challenges. And this white which is spread across me is disturbing me. And I keep on moving. And from far away, I get the sound, I can hear. आजा रे मैं तो कब से खड़ी इस पार के अखियाँ थक गई पंत निहार. So I think, who's this who's calling me? And that gave me a little bit of courage. I see a ray of hope. Even though I started disliking white, I started seeing the rainbow. I started seeing color. And finally when I reached there was a habitat where there was a strange kind of disease. People are wailing, people are mourning, people are crying. And many people in the family, they are getting affected. So I look at my box of lotion, solution and potion. And I realize that this is not enough. I have to develop new solutions because back home, that much pain wasn't there. And I start working on it, I start analyzing the situation and I start finding new solution. There is a lot of challenge. But in that challenge, I know that my bag of tears is there with me. And my bag of tears is not only enough for me, but also for other people. It's a blessing for me. And I start working on the pains of the people. Initially, I come across a lot of failure. But after the passage of 6 months of time, I'm able to conquer those difficulties and issues and find new solutions. And I start filling, I got a blessing of filling my box of, that magic box of lotion, potion and solution with innovative solutions. And I'm very happy that I could bring smile on the faces of people. And not only that, my so much of that timidness, that love for white and my quietness started disappearing. Because I realized that there is a world beyond my world, and I started finding new solutions to the new problems. This way, I kept on moving ahead and started spreading the love, started getting the love, and I realized that there is lots to do, much more than what was there in my kingdom. After the passage of 2 years, when I continue to do this, after the passage of 2 years, I feel that instead of going back to the kingdom, I can go ahead and spread this love to the rest of the world. That's the story.
Very nice. He quoted the symbols, all symbols quite correctly. Absolutely rightly.
Thank you.
See, let us look at Prince 3. He quoted the symbols and then we discuss the story. What of Prince 3 ka?
Prince 3 represents being one of many. Prince 3 is a pious prince. He searches for love, affection and caring. He wants to be owned up by the system. He often turns into a martyr or a victim of circumstances. The prince carries the psychological numbness and the frozenness of the self. Prince 3 takes...
See, Prince 3 is actually, because he's the third one, he's one of many. And therefore his emotions have become numb. He believes that the parents or the people like the first and the second better. Because they are more glamorous, they are more active, he is quiet, he's an introvert. So his emotions have become numb and he is searching for love, affection and caring.
Prince 3 takes on a healer role. He is the healer prince. The struggle of Prince 3 is to be able to receive grace when it is offered. Prince 3 has to own up his belongings and his heritage without shame. And
Am I in the middle?
no, the books, the knowledge is in the middle. Too much of knowledge. And anger. Without shame and anger.
Prince 3 inside is really angry and he feels he is a victim of circumstances because finally he is doing this kind of work, healing. And he does not feel like a prince. So he has to go to the glacier to confront his numbness and discover his own warmth. It is only through discovering that he can go beyond the box of lotions, potions and solutions and add something to the healing that he's doing, that he kind of becomes a positive person and says he can add something and he doesn't go back home. Generally, the second prince doesn't go back home because he conquers other kingdom and stays there. But the third prince doesn't go back home because he thinks he has a better purpose and meaning in life. He doesn't really have to go back. And he goes with the, also he has developed abilities and skills to prepare the healing lotions, potions and solutions and keep them filled by research and gathering and not by weeping. Because the Prince 3 story is that when he goes back, when he's a prince and he goes healing his people and goes back to his room, he generally starts weeping and the tear bag gets filled, and morning the boxes of lotions, potions, solutions are also filled. So it is through his tears that he heals other people. Now he heals other people by making new medicines, by his own competence and understanding what is really wrong. So this is a very positive decoding of all the symbols of the prince which are there. Good story. Where is our joker prince?
The prince, very notorious, and I make people laugh. My name is Anurag Jannah. And one sage came and he gave invisible cap, where I become invisible and do little mischief. And this is my stick, always with me. If I go wrong, the stick is going to hit me and make me understand that I'm going wrong. Please be correct. Okay. So, story, like I have to act like a prince, definitely. So I'm going to adapt a little bit, and along with me I have my cap and a stick, and I'm going to the territory of Jamidar. And
You are going to the southern boundary of the kingdom.
yes, southern boundary of the kingdom.
I'm less of
Yes,
hair.
for you, yes.
I'm so sorry, I will not do it again. So sorry. Are you happy?
Yes,
Yes.
Got a new
Laughter dose.
and everything. So please, can you get up? Please. If you're happy and you know, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know, clap your hands. If you're happy and you know, and you really want to show. If you're happy and you know, clap your hands. Great.
ये कहाँ पे हो?
Southern man, जमींदार के घर.
In the
Glacier.
Actually, we reached a place to start with.
we are in the same territory.
Now, she's starting with a story where she is still in the territory. And then
Now
we
keep
go-
on.
we are taking a day because we are just crossing. We have the whole day to cross. By evening, we reach the
Just
rock.
making my people happy and doing some mischievous things.
This is getting a beating.
So sorry, I will not do it again. Are you happy? Please, no, scared. Come, sing with me. Come. Hello, everybody. Please. Sing with me. If you're happy and you know, keep your fingers. If you're happy and you know, keep your fingers. If you're happy and you know, and you really want to show, happy and you know, keep your fingers. Thank you. Now I'm in my house. I have to go for 2 years. The sun is setting down and I'm painting. Like the whole, there's a crack in the stone, and I'm going to enter when the sun is going to set.
Gone into the world.
Wow.
This is the new world.
Now this is the good world.
Gone into the world.
Into the
Yeah,
west. Into the west.
there was a crack that went into the rock inside, and there was a whole new world.
No, not there is a tunnel.
Do it. Hello, ma'am. My brother is there. I'm invisible. My brother is there. What he's doing over here? Oh my God, he's really working very hard. He's so wise. He's doing so good things and great things. He's using his wisdom and using his knowledge to, make people understand things and not fighting with anyone. Oh, great. Bhai, will you come with me? Yeah. Because we have to, for 2 years, we have to go and then we have to go return to our kingdom. There we meet wise people too, and you are the brothers, so we have to go together, yes? So, walking in the kingdom, walking in the kingdom. Are you scared? Are you scared? 1 step, 2 step, step forward, 1 step, 2 step, 3 step back. No, we are not afraid. Let's go. Second.
1-4. Yes, second. But then just second.
Yes. I can sit?
No, you won't be left. It's a teamwork.
I
Ultimately, we have to bring all 4 together.
Yeah, this is collaboration.
इसको किडनैप कर लिया
This story is
One
about
next.
Oh, wow. Is it Rahul? Yes, Rahul. Yes, Rahul.
Rahul.
Yeah, but all you 3 are Rahul for us.
This is my second brother, and he is in forest, and he got married recently, and I'm so happy. And he has used his all power and strength to do everything. So I want my brother to be with me. I want.
Bhabhi,
Yes,
Bhabhi,
Good one. And 3 words.
Walking
It is
in
a
the
joint
kingdom, walking in the kingdom. We are not afraid, we are not afraid. 1 step, 2 step, 3 step forward. 1 step, 2 step, 3 step back. Are you scared? No. We are not afraid. Yes.
Now you have to come to the
Yeah. Now let's go and meet our third brother.
There.
Just take.
There is so much. No, I know my third brother. Are you scared? You have done so much of healing, and you have brought all pain, and you have recovered. You have developed so new medicines and everything, which is going to help our kingdom too. Yes. So please come with me. We'll go together. Walking in the jungle, walking in the jungle. We are not scared. We are not afraid. 1 step, 2 step, 3 step forward. 1 step, 2 step, 3 step back. We are not afraid. And we are together.
I'm good, yeah.
Yes, my cat and my fish. And stick has made me understand that I should not do mischief like this, because every time the stick is with me and making me conscious that yes, if I do anything wrong, there is someone who is going to hit me and tell me, okay, you're wrong somewhere. And the invisible cat doesn't mean that you become invisible and you do mischiefs and you affect the people, and you should keep everybody together and always go together. And happiness, and spread happiness too.
As a last prince, I could have used my cat to get away from this all things, because my soldiers would have seen me. But still I wanted to take the step. I wanted to be righteous. I wanted to be right and look for a solution where I could see a light coming across, and I could find a tunnel and cross it. I could have become invisible and stayed in my own place for 2 years. But I didn't do it.
But you see, the tunnel experience is completely missing. Tunnel is never a happy experience because you go into the tunnel, it is very dark, there are cobwebs all around.
Yes.
All that you miss out completely. You end up in a beautiful land. It is, and then you pick up people who may not wish to come with you. Alright, so you met people and you made them do things, but you played the same role. You haven't changed the role because generally a prince meets a lot of sad people and then transform them into happy people. You met happy people. So there has been no change, real redefinition of role or performance. You have played the same role of a youngest prince. And youngest prince is, loaded with expectations. Generally, if you read Chandavama's story, the youngest prince returns home and finds that his three brothers have not returned. So he goes and finds the three brothers who then deceive him and then they go away. But there are no new experiences which you have created. It is the repetition of the same experience. Except this saying, I am alright so the stick doesn't beat me. But your invisible cap is no more invisible. You have left it somewhere, dropped it by the wayside. And you carried the stick along but it doesn't beat you. You have reformed him. So he doesn't beat you because he thinks you are a good person now. But the roles haven't changed, the responsibility hasn't changed, the role definition hasn't changed. And the new environment is not a new environment, it is all the same environment. Because once you enter the tunnel, the experience has to emerge. See, what has happened is emotional experience has not emerged at all. Only logical, you just by magic you have gone into the new land. And generally in the tunnel, people encounter cobwebs, people encounter snakes, people encounter, but the horse is there. The horse is with you. You've gone inside the tunnel with the horse. Where is the horse is gone? Horse has disappeared. See, somehow the horse is a systemic resource given by the system. Even the first prince has forgotten the horse when he goes into the water. Because horse can swim, but he doesn't use the systemic resource which has been given to him and sees that he's all alone and he has to fend for himself. So let's look at the decoding and see how much you how much you got it right and how much you got to see other aspects.
Sure.
But the acting was good.
Prince 4 is the youngest and the last born. Prince 4 is expected to follow the footsteps of all the giants before him. Prince 4 is given when the adults want to give, not when Prince wants.
You see, youngest, all the elders for the younger brothers and sisters are giants for him. And so he has to always catch up with them. And they give him only when they want to give him. They will come and give him a pat, they come and give him a tap, they give him this, they give him that, but not when he wants. It's only when they want to give. That's the plight of the youngest child.
He experiences indulgences and not caring. The experiences of Prince 4 is that he is left to his own resources. He rises to the moment of crisis and succeeds, often cheated and discredited. Often is cheated and discredited. Prince 4 tends to laugh and joke. He tends to be mischievous. He is the joker prince.
He tends to be, mischievous. Being the youngest child, he tends to be the mischief maker. When he has to be found for dinner, he is under his playground. When he has to be playing, he is under a table hiding. When he has to go to school, he is under a table hiding. He does not go. He does all kinds of these things and people tolerate it because he is the youngest and take it playfully. So he continues throughout his life. The question is, when does he grow up and become an adult and take total responsibility of the self? That's the... Okay. Alright, let's look at what is the purpose of this story. Of telling stories. Pardon?
To explore the participants' response to new settings and changes, to provide individuals to crystallize the dominant aspects of his role, to realistically assess their own and systematic strengths and limitations when initiating change and responding to the change, to map the people in the manager's world and their relationships with each other, to identify the role models, especially of authority and the coding's environment.
Just 1 second. See, in this story you have to deal with the models of authority. Who are your authority? The second prince finds the monster who is the authority. Because he is stronger than him, he is more Mayavi than him, and he has to encounter. Now the second prince hasn't resolved the issue with authority, he's killed the authority and become the authority. He's only replaced the authority by killing him. But he has not resolved the issue of how to engage with authority. And even the second time, he wants to engage, doesn't want to engage with authority. It's the consciousness which wakes him up and says, you can engage with authority. So the stories generally give you an answer to your dilemmas of life. So the first prince also leaves the home, and who does he encounter? First prince?
The river is there.
First prince doesn't encounter anybody.
No, he doesn't. But in the story,
The landlord or something.
in the story, yeah, it's a landlord and he fights.
See, landlord also is the authority.
Yes.
So you have kind of
Because we thought,
connived or manipulated to...
because we thought that the idea was that
So with your knowledge and information,
Yes.
you have, if I use a very terrible word, seduced him into accepting you. But the real dialogue hasn't emerged with the authority. Because you have dealt with the third problem, you have not dealt with your own issue.
Right.
Right? It's not your issue, it's somebody else's issue, you have dealt with the authority. So you very rightly use the word that you become a mediator. But your own issue with authority remains unresolved. And the third prince, what does he do?
There's no authority.
He has no authority, doesn't come
It's
across.
the environment.
He comes across the environment, larger environment, but he has no direct engagement with the authority. No, I was doing an individual story analysis, and one story by a person was that he was going on a boat, he encountered a crocodile. A crocodile turned into a turtle. Now, which meant that first he saw his father as an angry person and he was afraid of him. Later, he was comfortable with the father. And he was a big businessman. So he just looked at me and said, "How did you know this?" I said, "Your story told me." Because he met a crocodile, the crocodile turns into a turtle. Turtle is a very human animal. So crocodile is an angry animal. So his issue with authority, father in the young age, was fear, but later on turned into companionship, and the father sought advice from him. That's what, yes. So generally you do encounter these symbols to resolve dilemmas which are happening inside. What is the next point?
To identify their potentials and the processes of renewal and redefinitions required or to be initiated.
See, if you look at all your roles, they have remained the same. They have to be modified, they have to be redefined for you to come up with an innovative, creative potential. If the roles don't get refined as you grow older, your creativity tends to go down. It doesn't really multiply and doesn't give you a sense of innovation or achievement or excellence or it's just an incremental thing which may happen, but not a dramatically exponential discovery that you make of your potentials and creativity. So if you are not redefining your roles, I would suggest take a look and go through some program where you can discover your free spirit and not be a captive of the past achievements and excellence. What has happened is you succeed at something and you keep repeating the same thing. So you are a captive of your techniques of success and not the resource of your success. So how do you really discover the resource of your success to do better things, newer things, innovative things? That's what the meaning is. And then
to explore participants' willingness to take initiative, openness to take an adventure, experiments, and take risks.
Yeah. So how do you take an adventure and an experiment in the field that you are in?
To explore the participants' comfort level to walk into the unknown and unfamiliar settings.
You can't become psychologically retired at your age, because that will make you frozen in your innovative stances. You have to discover your capabilities and your what level of achievement. Okay, see, Corona time everybody was complaining, being captive in the house. I was in fact celebrating because in the Corona time I wrote 6 books. 3 have been published, 4th is ready, 5th and 6th I have to edit as yet, which will take me a month. Then I'll start. See, you have to, I believe, generally, all of us have so much potentials and creativity. It's in our DNA. Indians are like that. They have always been adventurous. They have always been explorers. They have always been creative. And this stupid topic of design thinking, all education, design thinking. But our people have been designers from centuries. If somebody can have the whole pattern of a patola or a sari, 6-yard sari, and where the booties are going to go, where the motifs are going to go, and then they weave the threads and into the waft like that. We are design thinkers, and we just because the stupid West does it, we say how we borrow it from the West. This is the colonialization which I detest. There is so much capabilities here, but we don't use it. And now is the time, this is the century to do it, when there is so much possibility and potential. Look what the Indians are doing in abroad. But they are doing it there and they are getting the credit. See, that is why my problem was, you don't flame the people came and said, we collaborate. And I said, no. We will collaborate as equals, not as recipients of your donation of knowledge. You will come and tell us why did we not think of this? And that's what they said in Flame. Why did we not think of a project like Discover India project? why did we not think of a project like developmental activities program? And if you believe me, I've had the maximum fun making buddhus out of whites. It's so, they're so unintelligent. See, I'll tell you one incident. And I was in Texas, so I must be in my 30s or 40s. One lawyer, I was sharing a room with a lawyer. It was a big room and he was there and I was there. One day the lawyer comes and says, Indira, do you have snakes in your country? I said, yes. Do you have tigers in your country? I said, yes. He said, where do tigers live? I said, on the trees. Do you have a tiger? Yes, I have a tiger. What does he live on the tree? He doesn't eat you up? No, because he is my friend. He lives on my tree, so he doesn't eat me up. What does he eat? He goes out at night and then finds his food and comes back and stays on the tree. And stupid man, lawyer, believes. Second thing, he says snakes. I said, yes. I said, John, you have yellow lines for bicycles. We have yellow lines for snakes. So snakes go on the yellow line, we drive on the road. So he said, you don't kill them? I said, no, we worship them, so how can we kill them? And they know they have to be on the yellow line, so we never go on the yellow line. And he believed it. I used to do all these kinds of things to them. And then after 2 months, he came and got so angry with me. He said, you made a fool of me. I said, no, John, you made a fool of yourself. Because you wanted to believe that I come from that primitive land, so you wanted to teach me something. But, so you started asking me these kinds of things, whether I know anything more than tigers, lions and snakes. So you wanted to go and tell your friends, you know what, I have a colleague in my room who comes from India, land of tigers and snakes walk on the road, so you must have told them like this. He said, yes, I told them like that. I said, then what will happen? They will tell you you are a fool. So why get angry with me? But he was really angry with me.
You still enjoy it. You still enjoy it.
Oh, I thoroughly enjoyed it because it doesn't affect me. I thoroughly enjoyed it. So, I think the amount of capabilities which all of us waste is enormous. Because we believe, we are made to believe, it has been tussled into our heads and into our bloodstream that they are better, they can give a theory. I'll give you a more serious, I was just got many years back, got an invitation to go to Boston University for women. They wanted to do a leadership program and I got an invitation. I said, chalo jaate hain. You are giving me business class fare, so I went. Then I realized they would just give me the fare and they gave me a place to live. And then I said, what is my role? Why are you paying me? Why are you bringing me here? No, you just come and listen to see what we do. And I won't follow it, I'll destroy it. So don't call me. But they still called me. So on the third day, they called 5 of us. Me, one Jamaican, one Caribbean, one Jamaican Caribbean the same, one from West Africa and one from another country in Africa. 5 of us, they made us sit into the circle. And they said, tell us your experience of the conference. And what do you think you could have done better? So we discussed. They called us again the next year. The next year what we had taught was the theme of the conference. They had just called us to identify the theme of the conference. Because they didn't have any more ideas to keep running the conference because they had the money. Third year they called us, the same thing happened. So 4th year I refused to go. I said, no, I don't have time. Why should I ideas of running a conference and they getting the credit. So it's not happened once, twice with the Indians, it has happened many times. And we, because we want to go to America, we go and give away our knowledge. They call you, UNDP called me to give a talk at 1 o'clock. And the HR person says, Professor, you have to give a talk when people are eating lunch. And if you are successful, then we call you for a training program. So I gave my talk for 1 hour. They were eating, crunching their potato chips and opening their big mouths with big bites of burgers. So I gave my talk. And finally, it was all over the building. You know, it was spread all over the building. 1 o'clock, brown box lunch talk with my photograph. So then I was just going out when some other people came. How was the talk? So they couldn't come. So the fellow said, you missed something. So I knew my talk had gone well. Then they invited me for a training program, UNDP in assignments. So they are, and we just do this. It's sometimes quite disgusting what they do. And us, we fall into the trap, right into the crocodile's mouth, and they chew us up. So colonialization needs to be shed out, and you will see how much you discover of your potentials. You don't have to give anybody greater importance and significance that they know better. You know better, one-to-one, and I have been to 29 countries to teach. One-to-one, you people are much, or we people are much better than any of them. One-on-one, excellent. Our capabilities are better, our competencies are better, our delivery is better, our philosophical understanding, because we have a base ground of philosophy, which they don't have. We have a philosophical clarity, we have a structural clarity, we have a sequential logic. They only know how to do PowerPoint, and this box opens and that box opens and that box opens. And we say, wow, what a अच्छा presentation. Content may be nothing, but they do very good PowerPoint presentations because they know how to open this box, adha, then pura, then ekdam blossom like a flower, all that. Anyway, now what is the next one I have on this side? I don't remember, I've done it after such a long time. Methodology, I've already told you. No, what is the framework? It is the, see, first of all, you have the full freedom to do whatever you want. That is what I told you. And the first thing you enter is the environment. So what is the environment?
Environment. How do we experience the environment? What do we observe beyond what can be seen? What do we miss out which is within our sight? How do we plan for today and tomorrow? How do we strategize on a bigger canvas?
See, environment, you have to take a large macro perspective of the environment. But you see, sometimes in IIM we were going to interview a CEO. So director said, what will we do? I said, send him on the campus and tell him how many things he can. He comes back and says everything is correct. I said, then what are you going to do here? You have no role to play here. And we identified 7 or 8 things which needed to be corrected right then. He didn't see it. People don't see it what is to be done in the environment. How do you look at environment? Is a tiny thing, as a macro thing, as a huge thing, external environment, internal environment of the organization, etc., etc. That is the first framework I use, is what do you do in an environment? So once having crossed. Like the fourth prince crossed magically into a new world. It didn't go through the hardships of transition. Transition is always painful, it's never easy. Even the first prince crossed the river magically. Second prince also was doing magically. Third prince started talking a little bit about the wind chill factor and the cold and this and that. And then suddenly he heard somebody calling her in a haunting voice of Aja Mera Beloved or something like that. But the environment, how do you really experience the environment? Chalo, next one later. So first is the environment.
Do we discover environment as is, or do we recreate the environment in old forms? Do we add to the environment? How do we identify resources? How do we identify constraints and opportunities?
In the environment. All this have to be simultaneously there happening. Then what roles do you take? And I said that all of you have played the same kind of roles you were playing in the kingdom. You haven't redefined your roles. So please read it out.
What roles do we take? What roles do we play? Do we bring ourselves to the in a situation or a task? Do we replay the psychodrama of our former roles? Do we discover any new dimensions of our role? Self in the new environment. New dimensions of our roles, self in the new environment.
So once you enter the new environment, nobody knows you. So you can really play any role which you haven't played or have been inhibited to play. You can play that role in the new environment. Because nobody knows you that you were like this before. And you have an aspiration, you could be like this, you could play in the environment. New environment, you can do that.
But how can somebody change the inherent self? Whatever. See, I may be X in old environment, but it may not be necessary. It is not necessary that it's only the impact of the environment. It is also how I react to the environment. And over a period of time, if I become something like that, in the new environment, how can I metamorphose myself? And
see, you have already some clarity that the role you are playing is not facilitating you. So if you are being very polite, you know you are being taken disadvantage of. You are being bullied. You are being taken for granted. You know that. So in the new environment, you can be little more aware, little more alert, and little more assertive. It's not like overnight changing. You know what you are, what is happening to you in the role that you are taking. You see, good sons become good employees. And they take on work of other people who give it to them and cannot say no. In a new organization, you can say no, you are not going to do this. It's not your job, neither it is your role. It is his role. I've found seniors taking on juniors' role, juniors leaving on time, seniors working late because seniors cannot say no because they go through an appeasement policy of juniors. Lot of companies go through appeasement policy. And they end up doing more work at the cost of their own family. Because they cannot say no, they cannot say yes. Assertively. So, if you change the organization, they don't know that, so you have to change. That's your opportunity. And that is the time you can change.
Relationships. What do we relate with? How do we relate with known people or strangers? What meaning do we give to the relationships? Who are the people in our world? Do we add to the relationships and invite others into our world?
See, we are most of the time ways of relating to people. Based on how we grew up, our relationships are frozen. Because we give the same meanings to what we do is we objectify a person and then relate to the person. Relate to the objectification and not to the person. So our relationships are frozen. How do we really discover in a new environment? Who do we discover? See, you discovered, fourth prince discovered some same people, groaning, moaning, ill people. Did not discover healthy, happy people. First prince discovered, what did he discover?
Problem.
Animosity between the two groups.
Again say,
The animosity between the two groups. Because one Jamindar's son eloped with other Jamindar's
yeah, the fights between the two. The same royalty people, you
Yeah.
did not discover a stranger. You could deal with the same people because they were of a same class. And you played the mediator role, like the role was the before. So you played the mediator role, which you played in the kingdom also because you solved everybody's problem. Here also you solved everybody's problem. So there is no new relationship which has emerged. And how do you relate to strangers? How do you relate to the stranger inside you? You see, when you meet new people, you are also encountering a stranger in you. How do you relate to the people? Strangers inside you and outside you. That is we can do an exercise for this, but not now, some other time. And what do we really add to people? Do we solve their problems or do we add some meaningful lives to people? Performance. Now, what kind of performance do you do? Kya hai Parikh?
How do we perform or achieve or excel? Do we break new frontiers? Do we give? How do we give shape? How do we manage support? How do we manage barriers?
Now, something in the first prince came out that you give support or manage the barriers, but that's of other people. How about your own? Because each one of us has internal inhibitors and external inhibitors. We have internal facilitators and external facilitators. How do we really get in touch with our internal facilitators as well as internal inhibitors to free ourselves from the captivity of past relationships and past dynamics? See, we are caught up with a lot of past, which is an inevitable part of socialization of being in the family. Sometimes we are caught up with the cultural codings which are very deep and we cannot break it through. I'll give you my very personal example. When my husband passed away, or even before that, whoever used to pass away, I used to make them put on their bindis and insist on their wearing their red bangles, etc., etc. But when my husband passed away, it took me 2 hours to put my red bangle on. 2 hours. And my hands were, and at least an hour to put my bindi back on it. My hands were shaking. These are cultural codings. These are not personal codings. My personal codings are broken long time ago. But cultural codings are so deep and so embedded that breaking is very difficult unless you make a lot of effort. And I'll tell you one more example. After marriage there is a bidai, right? So I did not know how to wear a sari. At that time in Bengal we used to have that red liquid to put the bindi on, and of course I did not know how to put a round one. So I told my Taiji कि भाभी आप मेरे को बिंदी लगा दो. She wouldn't do it. She says माँ को बोल, इसको बोल, उसको बोल, फलाना को बोल. मैंने कहा आप लगा दो. तो बोलते नहीं मैं नहीं लगा दूँगी. This was because she was a widow, she would not put it on. So I just insisted that bhabhi lagaegi aur koi nahi lagayega. And that's a crisis time because all the Bharat is waiting outside and we have to catch a flight. But I will not let anybody put but her. Then only I will get out of the room. My grandfather came, my grandmother came, my father came, and my mother came, and she came to the parlor. Then my father said, "Nahi, isko karne do, bhabhi ko karne do." So my father took my side and I said at that time, my bhabhi has bathed me, washed my hair, combed my hair, looked after me when I was sick. I stayed with her for 2 years. I said, her hand cannot be inauspicious. She has to do it. See, we don't break such traditions or create new traditions which are meaningful and relevant. We get caught with the social captivity of codings which are irrelevant and obsolete. The relationship, most of the time we are caught with past packages of what somebody did or did not do, we liked or we did not like, and the relationships remain frozen and captive. And we only deal with the objectification of the person rather than the person. The person must have moved on. There are many times I have moved on and some people still hold on to the package. When I became the dean, a lot of people didn't come to my room. At least 5 faculty never entered my room. Because they were saying, "Ye research associate dean kaise ban gayi?" They were holding an image of 30 years back when I came as a research associate. They were still caught up with the research associate image and not what I had grown. So hota hai aisa. But why should we get caught ourselves with our own relationship with our people whom we are fond of? Sometimes we are fond of people but we don't take the initiative. क्या उसने पैसा किया? Now is the question of making departures.
Do we make departures? Do we cross the threshold to enter the world of work? How do we take initiatives in the unknown? How do we make choices within the framework of uncertainty? How do we accept the consequences of choices without blaming or holding others responsible?
See, making departures means making really initiatives which are not taken before. Then only you grow up and then only you experience growth. Otherwise we remain captive in our traditional old role definition. We have the same arguments with the same people and we don't change. And unless we break through, literally break through, and make departures. Like with my Hindi thing, of course I made a departure in the family. After that everybody broke through. But once you break through, the whole family also breaks through. When my father-in-law died, I made sure my mother-in-law had put on her bindi back again. And she put it on back again. I said, "You're not wearing white." So she used to wear clothes. She said, "What will people say?" I said, "People will say whichever way, any which way people will say. Don't worry about people. This is their problem, not your problem." So you have to break through some of the irrelevant, obsolete patterns of behavior which in our lives carry on for years and years and years and carry on in the country for centuries and centuries. We don't examine, we just go on with it. लोग क्या करेंगे? लोग जाए भाड़ में. Let them say what they want to say, but we need to do what we need to do, and what we need to do what is right, rather than selfish. नहीं यही होना चाहिए. What is the next point? I have totally the framework fate. I think this is the 5th one or the 6th one. New initiatives, your world gets recreated. Once women start working, the world gets recreated, the world gets redefined. Once men and women both work, the world gets redefined. So, please read.
What is the world we create? What do we offer to this world? What do we withhold? What is our dream? How do we translate the dream into reality?
See, most of us have dreams of something or the other. We never actualize it. We can actualize it if we just make some departures and take some initiatives. I would not be where I am if I had not broken through some of the barriers, social barriers. But breaking social barriers does not rose petals to you. They only throw thorns. So you have to have the guts and the courage to walk on them. People are going to say things. People are going to say things because it's not been done before. So it threatens them. So it does not mean you are going to inhibit yourself because or make yourself less than who you are because of what people are going to say or what Samaj will say or what this will say or that will say. It is then you create a new world. And finally, context. Finally, how do you create the context? Bring about changes in the context of the society, context of the culture, context of the whatever institutions you are a part of. See, let me give you one example. In 1979, there was not a single women managers program. IIM used to write for both men and women, but hardly one or two women came overall in the whole year for the 20, 25, 30 programs we offered. So I decided to offer women managers program. In 1979, I offered the first women managers program at IIM. And there was a massive resistance to it. We had 2 meetings of 3 hours each discussing this. And they would not agree. They said, why not men and women? I said, वो तो होता ही है. Why women? Why this? Why Thalana? Why Dimka? So I said, all right. देखो, जिसको ना बोलना है ना बोलो और मिनट में अपना नाम बोलो. Professor so and so said no. Professor so and so said no. Professor so and so said yes. जिसको ना हाँ बोलना है, let's minute every person's name. Then they did not want to do that because we'll get minuted for lifetime. They said, अच्छा चलो experiment करते हैं. For the experimental, we let you do it. ठीक है करने दो. Then it went to the management development program who will look at it. But since the area had approved it, they had no reason not to approve it. I got 45 women participant managers as my participants. Because I had gone to organization after organization convincing then the HR managers to send women. And out of these, 3 women were at the brink of being taken on the board of directors. One of an ICICI bank, one IDBI one, and one Apex handloom body. And they were all hesitating. And in my program, I literally pushed them and said, you must become the board member. If you become the board member, you will see times to come, women will be board members. And these are big banks, ICICI, IDBI. And this is an Apex national body. They all 3 became board members. So, but the very fact that you have to create a new context, because you know that women are entering work and women need training, otherwise they'll be left behind, they'll be doing only clerical work. So women in management and issues of role and authority was my first program, where I helped them deal with the male authority and how to be a manager and not a woman in an organization. And it worked because then I did 10 programs and every time I had lots of participants. Then I got so typified with being women work, so then I left it for almost 5 years. And then I started women leadership programs because by that time women had gotten into leadership positions. So you have to change the context because the context itself is changing. You always have to be sensitive to what is happening outside of you and then create something to make it better. Now, you are all faculty development programs, so you have to become sensitive to the students and what they are saying. My whole approach to education has been by listening to students because they resented the education they were getting. World had changed, life had changed, families had changed, children had changed, technology had intervened. So education had to change. So you have to look at all these and then bring about transformations in the institution you are a part of. Story is one way of understanding because here in the story you had the full freedom. You had the new environment. You had to have people. You had to have people relationships. You had to have create a new world. So you have to now create a new educational institutions. You have to create a new philosophical education which is relevant to India and not to the stupid Goral and colonial mindsets. Their mindset won't work here. We have to look at our own time.
I just want to phone for myself.
Time to होने आया ना 5 minute बाकी है. So, having said all this, did it make sense?
Yes.
Did the story as an exercise, as an experiential work make sense?
Totally.
See, I wrote this book, Magic and Mystery of Storytelling. There's a lot of examples of when to tell lots of stories. This is a prince story. I have written a story for women. Story of a princess, a tailor's daughter, a cobbler's daughter, and a tailor's daughter, cobbler's daughter, and four identities. Princess. To work on the book on Magic and Mystery of Storytelling, Volume 2 of women. This is general, but of women. What I can do is, abhi ek aur book मैंने लिखी called Projective Methodology of Transforming Managers and Organizations. It's available in Norton Press. It's by me and Bharti Kolan, Dr. Bharti Venkatesh. Dr. Bharti Venkatesh, Norton Press in Bangalore. And another one is written on women managers. This was about a girl who worked with me for 5 years and she was desperate, ma'am, I want to write a book with you. I said, "Theek hai, I have a lot of data on women, then you work on that." She worked on that and she came out with a draft, and then I went to Pune, she went to Bangalore, and then I learned she is dead. At 44 she died. She had galloping cancer. So what I did in COVID time, I rewrote the book with what she had written, put it proper way it needed to put in, gave her the authorship because she was so much wanted it, and dedicated the book to her and finished it.
Who are working behind the back and slowly damaging. And one day we realized that this is what was going on, and we were stupid enough not to understand the situation. Do you call this one as lack of expertise and lack of ability to see the undercurrents, or it's natural?
That is one. You must accept that organization is a political institution. Politics is going to happen. Number two, how does it become your problem? Is their problem?
It creates hindrances. It creates speed breaks.
It creates
Speed breaks.
It creates speed breakers. That is bound to happen. Organization is such. अभी देखो politics क्या हो रहा है for the country. They are damaging the whole country. So you have to deal with them. You have to learn to deal with them. I'll tell you what happened. I got a first invitation from abroad, from Africa, from UNDP to run a women managers program. And the institute never gave it to me. That letter came to the institute MDP department, Management Development Department. They didn't give it to me. Then the person was persistent enough to send me through a hand courier. Another professor was coming of IIM from Africa, so she gave it to him. He came and gave it to me. She said, there's a letter for you, somebody gave it. Then I went to Africa. Hota hai. It only means you were right. When people do this to you, it means you were right. UNDP woman has literally copied paragraph after paragraphs of my paper and not given me a credit. And she got a lot of credit for writing the paper. But which only means I have a right. That people are copying my work. Hota hai. Take it in your stride. Or fight it out. If you find it, fight it out. No, even before I left Flame, I was going to anyway leave. I had told the president, the donor, that I will leave now. Now my dean of business school was telling everybody, if you have problems, don't go to the president because she's anyway leaving. I did not know how he knew it, how he came to know of it. Come to me, don't go to her. So they came and told me. So I called him up straight and I said, do you want me to leave or why are you spreading these rumors? तो भागता मेरे कमरे में आया. मैंने तो फोन करके बोला. I have never said it. I said, well, this is what I am told. If you want me to leave, rest assured I am leaving. Rest assured you are not taking my position. That also be rest assured. अभी तो मेरी बहुत बखान करता है. It's part of it. Politics is part of it. You don't have to be naive. You have to be sharp and alert.
But that creates a lot of disturbance in our own positive work. Because
why would you let some stupid people disturb you? That is his stupidity. Why would that disturb? You are giving him more power over you than it is due.
And many a times it happens that I personally prefer to keep quiet rather than getting into argument with anybody.
You don't need to argue, you need to just tell him.
Yeah. So later on I realized.
Argue उसकी बात तो सुनने का ही नहीं. I just tell him, shut up, I don't want to listen to you. You just listen to what I have to say. ऐसा बोलने का guts होना चाहिए.
That's past, but what you said, I was, even though I took the role of the third place, I have actually gone through that tunnel and left the organization because I realized that enough is enough and joined the new organization with a new role.
That was for good, no?
Yeah.
See, jealousy is earned. I always say this. No, it's earned. You have to do a lot to earn jealousy
So
of
much
others.
so that when my name came on the NAC Peer Team panel, the person wrote a letter to Dr. Hegde, and Dr. Hegde called me that, ma'am, what kind of superior he is that he's writing a letter against you. And the impact was his name was removed from the panel.
So that is what will happen when you are correct and you are in truth. Your work is truth. This will happen. One thing you must rest assured, you must be absolutely on top of your work. Excellence must be your motto. Then you can have all the courage to do all this. Any other reflections on the session? Any reflection on the session?
Very, very insightful. Enjoy. Very, very insightful. Really enjoyed.
Very insightful. That's what I meant.
Even after the lunch, we were all
Yeah,
awake.
we were.
That is important. That shows
Yes,
that.
enjoying the session thoroughly.
We couldn't.
Even after posters, like, you were quite active and awake.
Good, I'm glad. Thank you very much for.
Beautiful session, as everyone has already agreed, and I'm sure you all also agree that learning through stories is a great way. And thank you so much for actually weaving in the concepts into the story and making it easier for us to do. I request.
You can pass it on to everybody.
Yes,
that would be
It's not
great,
my,
actually.
it's my, somebody will have to be really trained to use this, so take it.
Thank you, sir. I request Dr. Rachna to present a memento to Professor Parikh as a token of our gratitude.
Thank you.
Round of applause, please.
सब चीज धीरे धीरे होता है, उठना भी धीरे, बैठना भी धीरे.
पर आपने बात करने की age is just now.
Your students need to know, I believe, that you can be alert for 8 hours. So tomorrow we are resuming here, initially at breakfast and then again upstairs, and we will begin the session at 10. Tomorrow, Mr. Pradeep Bhargav is going to inaugurate tomorrow's session, and Mr. Sunil Chaudhya's session will be there along with the same session, and then we will have a lunch, and Dr. Sandeep Patre will take over the post-lunch session after Mr. P. Dwarkanathji.
I'm taking my flowers.
Yes, ma'am, that's very
Once I did an Air India cabin crew program, I got 200 roses. I went with 200 roses in the plane.
Next slide, please.